Yo, what's up, duelists? Another day, another duelist. You guys may notice that this is not my typical setup. The mic, probably a little bit different quality. The recording, probably a little bit different quality. But we're on the go, and I still got to pump out the daily uploads for you guys. We've been having a lot of bangers lately. Before I get into the deck explanation, make sure and sign up for RBET at Genesis next February if you haven't already. Check the description below. It's going to be one of the biggest Edison tournaments and biggest Yu-Gi-Oh events of next year. Genesis is a huge fighting game tournament, and there's a lot of crossover with different games, and we are lucky enough to be at it next year with RBET. So make sure and sign up. It will sell out. You don't want to sleep on it too much. It's going to take place at Genesis, of course, which is in Northern California. You guys get the vibes. Let's get into deck explanation. So I hit up Roghnach before this because I was in the mood to play his deck, specifically his deck from RBET Berlin. And I was like, yo, do you have your RBET Berlin deck on hand? Because I'm trying to play something fire. And he said, yeah, I got you, fam. And he hit me with it real quick. This is the exact main deck, the exact extra deck, and 12 of the 15 of his side deck. He said he could only remember 12 of the 15 of his side deck. And so I filled in the last 3 with some insane bombs. But let's talk about what the deck is, what it does, and what it's trying to do, right? You got Deep Sea Diva, which is an insane normal summon, just +1 on the summon. Works really well with Salvage, Enemy Controller, and Spiritual Water Art. So a lot of ways to take advantage of that instant +1. Airplane just flew overhead, just crushing it. It's going it's going crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but yeah, just destroyed any chance at me explaining what this deck does. But yeah, Deep Sea Diva is like kind of your big core here. It's an auto +1 on the summon, works well with a lot of different cards, and you're maxing those cards more or less. And then a few of the other cards in the deck, you got 1 Lad, 1 Dark Dove Spirit. These are like tech choices, but they're like insanely good, especially as one-ofs. 1 Soul Exchange, same thing. Like this works well with the frogs. And then you play a ton of frogs to help fuel the salvages as well, because Swap Frog gets you to the easy salvage, which can get you set up with a nice little advantage engine that gets you to the middle of the game where you can take over with synchros or your maximum amount of brain controls or hand rips. Is this better than Hero Frogs? I don't know. We're going to find out. I've got a couple of matches to show you guys. One of them is even against Hero Frogs, so you guys can see for yourself how this deck faces off against the Premier Frog variant at the time. And yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Mermaid Archer, really cool card. Sideboard, again, 12 cards that Roghnach said he was playing, and then the last 3, I just added 3 cards that will instantly win me the game. Deck Devastation Virus, easily live with the Diva into Catastrophe play, or of course with Kaya's Gore's Lad, because it is Dark Wall in play, Vanity's Fiend, or a stolen one of our opponent's large dark monsters, which are a large majority of the monsters in the format. So it seemed like a great one up to slap in the sideboard here. Let's watch the first replay. This is going to be up against No Rage. No Rage back again for a little bit of vengeance. I played against No Rage in a recent video, one of the ones over the past few days, and he's a solid player. He's from the Discord, and we've been gaming against each other, going back and forth, and this is going to be a tough one because he's going first, and he's starting off with Stratos, and we've got kind of a weak hand. We've got double Treeborn, a couple of cards that don't mind us having Treeborn, and then a Salvage, which doesn't really work that well with Treeborn, but Treeborn Frog is a really good card, so we'll see what we can do. He sets 2 and passes back after searching Ocean, so possibly playing Hero Frogs, possibly playing Diva Hero. We don't really know yet, but all I know is that I can set a Treeborn with a couple of these back row, and hopefully it does some work. It's not looking good for us. Brain Control doesn't convert with anything that we've drawn so far. We don't have a Diva or a Tribute Monster or a Substitute, so it's kind of sitting kind of ugly right there, and we're under a ton of pressure already, so yeah, I just got to try and resolve one of these cards. Unfortunately for us, he does hit our Water Art, which was the higher value of the 2 cards here, so yeah, it's looking pretty rough. We're going to pass back. He's got the normal summon Diva, confirming that he is playing a Diva Hero variant. Not sure which, but one of the many Diva Hero variants. He grabs out Spine Gilmer from the deck. He could go a couple of different directions here. He could go for a Synchro into the, what is that card called? Android, Catastor. He could Synchro with the Stratos into Goyo or Bionic. He could Synchro with all 3 into Mistworm if he really wants to, but he decides to go for Goyo Guardian. So this makes a decent amount of sense. He probably thinks I'm playing frogs because he saw the Water Art, so he wants to take whatever it is we set. Understandable. If it's a dupe frog, it's a pretty good take. If it's a Treeborn, it's a pretty good take. So yeah, he's also got the Gilman, which is going to poke us here, so He attacks the set Treeborn. He's able to take the set Treeborn. I decided to save my Rogeki Break. I kind of want to use it on the back row. We can always brain the Yugioh and then like figure something out that way. But I didn't want to Rogeki Break the Yugioh because I wanted to brain control it at some point. I think we can get more value. There's a Nether plane going overhead. Jeez, I feel like I'm in a zone. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Spine Gilman attacks for 17. We lose 17. Main phase 2 Miracle banishing our Treeborn, so things looking kind of tough, as usual. Absolute Zero hits play, and then he sets a couple and passes a turn. Now, I get kind of tripped up here. Again, this is my first game with the deck, but I get kind of tripped up. I brain control the Yugioh. Probably a little bit of a mistake, because it can't actually run over the Absolute Zero here. Absolute Zero is 3,000. He didn't adjust the attack, so I got a little confused, but it is what it is. You know, sometimes you make a few mistakes here. He's going to Solemn the Brain anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I should have maybe not used this brain control quite yet. We did have a line where it was like pitch Treeborn, special swap, and then we can send Subsitoad, salvage them back, and then do some crazy stuff with the Yugioh Guardian. So it would have worked out all right had he not had like a crazy interactive card, but he did have a crazy interactive card. Now we basically have one line, so it's pitch, send Subsitoad, salvage back the 2 cards. And this is showing the strength of salvage alongside Swap Frog. This is a pretty solid combo. It's not great. It's not an offensive combo. We're still in a really bad spot if he has like another Miracle, for example, or a Gemini Spark, or another Diva, or a way to sort of get through this. I'm not really sure which version he's playing, but the heavy amount of back row is kind of giving me some pause. I'm not feeling great about my chances, because if this is Diva Hero, they may have Phoenix Wing, which just cooks me. Bounce the Swap Frog, extra normal the Treeborn, activate the Subsitoad, bring out Swap Frog, activate the effect, send Subsitoad. Just go through the motions here, get all of these out of the deck. I spoke to Roghnach after this match. He said to leave one Swap Frog in deck, but honestly, like at this point, if I draw another Swap Frog, I'm just dead, and I have one in hand, so yeah. But he did say, as a rule of thumb, you usually want to leave a Swap Frog in deck when you maintain the Subsitoad in play. Anyway, passes back. He draws Future Fusion, so an inactive draw, and then he reveals he is on the Alias, so maybe it's Diva Hero with one Alias, or maybe he is on Hero Blast Sparks. Who knows? We'll find out. Normal summons the Ocean. We draw Soul Exchange, which is a really good draw here. I'm going to go ahead and Rogeki Break. Try to hit one of these back row. I aim for the Starlight Road here, so I kind of lose a 50-50. His other back row is obviously going to be more alive. Bring out the Treeborn, get my +1. Sack, get the Dupe Frog. Soul Exchange, target the Ocean. Sack the Ocean, bring out Flip Flop. Switch the Subsitoad, set the Flip Flop, and pass the turn. Off the top of the deck, he manages to top deck specifically Gores, which is exactly 5,500 for lethal, so yeah, pretty cringe. I'm not going to lie. And we dodged the Torrential Tribute as well, but he just happened to top deck the only card in his deck that broke us there. Besides, I don't even think Diva broke us because he couldn't make anything that mattered, so yeah, pretty unlucky. Miracle Fusion probably would have killed us too. Yeah, Miracle Fusion killed us too. So I guess it's Gores and a couple Miracles left. So 3 cards left in his deck. It didn't look perfect for us. It didn't look pretty, but we actually had positioned ourselves in a way to come back. Potentially. But alas, here we are. We get to go first for game 2, and we have a pretty good hand. This is like a much better hand than our last one because we do have that Caius the Shadow Monarch. So draw Soul Exchange. Another great card here because we have Swap Salvage to get the Subsitoad access. I pitch Special Swap, send the sub, and then I want to go for this Subsitoad play turn 1. I actually don't know if this is correct. We probably could have just gone Swap, send Treeborn, but I really like getting the frogs out of the deck because they're super annoying. Like, I just don't like drawing frogs. I think people drastically overrate how good, let me just export this deck so we have it popped out, you know what I'm saying? Okay, here we go. I think people drastically overrate the frog cards. I think they're incredibly passive and like quite bad into most of the meta decks. And when I play frogs in general, I tend to side them out more often than I think your average player would. Yeah, I do side out 2 frogs more often than not. I do side out like some amount of Swap Frogs or Subsitoads more than some people do. But yeah, anyway, getting back into things. We go through all the frogs. We get the Dupe Frogs out. I decided to leave the Flip Flop and the Uni in the deck. I may have sided out Flip Flop in this matchup, actually. I didn't think it would be that useful. I may have left it in. I'm not sure. I don't really remember, but I think I sided it out because I needed space. He summons a Dyna, which honestly is interesting. I think it's a tell. So, like, this is a weird spot to be in, right? Because if you summon Dyna, then obviously he doesn't want me to Treeborn, right? But it's a tell that he doesn't have an answer to Caius in the back row. So I'm thinking his back row doesn't answer Caius, because otherwise you would just set the Dyna, right? Because if you set the Dyna, then you can clear the dupe block very easily. So for me, I get the read that his back row is not a way to respond to Caius. That'll come up later, but you guys will see. Anyway, we draw for turn. Main phase 1, we've got the Mermaid Archer. And I'm thinking, okay, if it's not an out to Caius, then it might be a Deep Prison, or it might be like just a card he doesn't want to spend right now, maybe Mirror Force, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and equip the Archer. This plays around Mirror Force. This also plays around Bottomless. Yeah, Bottomless without the Caius, but we would still banish his Dyna. So he could have set another monster to try and bait Caius if he had the, if he had a Bottomless, but that's obviously like super 5-head play, and then it lets us stick to Caius. Actually, it doesn't let us stick to Caius because he Bottomlesses it. Anyway, the point I'm making here is I'm not super worried about breaking up this dupe block, because outside of specifically normal summon Diva and make Catastor, he doesn't really have a great way of dealing with a single dupe frog. And so I'm like kind of comfortable breaking it up. And then if he does have another Dyna, I would like to be able to just attack into its set and not worry about losing too much. So yeah, I decided to attack here, and the Dyna just goes down for free. So yeah, kind of burned the Dyna there for no real reason, but worked out well for us. I set a Water Art because, like, if he does have a Catastor, I may want a Water Art right away. We'll find out. Anyway, he does have Diva into Gilman, and then he Synchros into Catastor, and then he attacks the Dupe Frog. I actually make a misplay here. Dupe Frog is going to get popped, and we'll add back a swap. What I should have done here is actually Water Art him end of battle phase so I can see his hand. But I let him go to main phase 2, and then on the set, on the end phase, I Water Art him, which I think is a little bit worse, because obviously we don't get to see this set Gemini Spark, but yeah, at this moment in time, we still don't know exactly which version he's playing, so he's kept the information pretty concealed. That being said, I'm just always taking Miracle Fusion here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're just going to take a Miracle. He passes back to us. We draw our own Diva, which makes me happy because the last Diva wins usually. And Diva is just such a really good card. It's just incredible. I'm going to Soul Exchange the Catastor. I'm going to sack off the Catastor and activate the Caius. And for some reason, I really do think this middle set is not an out to Caius, because if it was an out to Caius, then he would have set the Dyna. And he would have been okay trading the Bottomless with the Caius if the Dyna was set or something like that. I don't really know why he summoned the Dyna. That didn't feel like... It just felt like a poor use of the Dyna, if he was going to set Bottomless behind it. Like, it was either don't set anything, or it was like, don't summon the Dyna at all, or... I don't know. But maybe he was worried about Unifrog, but if he was worried about Unifrog, then you just wouldn't set the Bottomless. So you would normal Dyna not set Bottomless. That would be the play. I don't know, it's such a weird circumstance to be in, but I make a mistake there, basically, and Kai's the Bottomless. Either way, we're going to be able to Water Art him again. And this time we actually just take the Diva, because he doesn't have a hero, and I feel pretty confident we can close this one out if I get to stick a Catastor. So there goes the Diva. He summons the Honest. He hits for 1100. Oh well, whatever. We draw for turn. We find Lad. Really awkward because he does have that Honest in his hand, but maybe we can get some value out of this at some point. Roll the Diva, get the Gilman, attack with both, try to bait like a deprison of some kind. If he deprisons one of them, then we can just leave the other one in play. Maybe it'll die to the Honest, but we'll figure it out. Then I go ahead and make Catastor, because Catastor is really good into the Honest and the Miracle Fusion. So yeah, just hope he doesn't draw a Cyber Dragon. He draws DD Crow, which is nice for us because it doesn't really do that much. He summons the Honest, he attacks over the Treeborn, and for some reason I was thinking him doing this is a tell that he has Torrential Tribute set, but I was pretty comfortable bringing back Treeborn and then like procking like a Torrential Tribute. But he's going to Crow the Treeborn, so it didn't end up mattering. I could have pitched the Diva special to swap, but then we get destroyed by Torrential, so I was thinking, yeah, he has Torrential, and I summon swap and activate, and he just says it's okay, and I'm like, well, what is his back row? For some reason, I just had such a hard time reading his back row this game. It was just total blank, but yeah, I just had a really tough time reading his back row. I got everything wrong, and I could have played around it much better. It would have made this game a lot easier. I bounce the swapped player on Mirror Force, attack for 22. Next turn we can go for a game with Light and Darkness Dragon, so there's really no reason to risk into Mirror Force here. He draws for turn, sets a new back row, passes, Treeborn comes out, main phase 1, activate Salvage, I back Swap, I back Substitute. And then here I was like, I could go for Lad, but I kind of wanted to get more information because I'm so far ahead, so I decided to pitch Special Swap. And then he ended up actually having the Torrential. The Lad wouldn't have killed him through the Torrential anyway, so it's like fine that we burned these cards. But I maybe should have kept the Swap Frog and normaled the Substitute instead. I was like, I don't know. I decided to just normal the Diva. And this is actually pretty crucial damage because like 400 to 23 means that Lad with 1 negate will still be lethal. So yeah, this should be a game shot on the next turn, provided he just like summons Honest and attacks over a guy. He summons the Ocean, activates the Miracle, so he finds the hero finally, and is able to put up absolute 0, and then attacks over the Diva for a ton of damage. So I was like, damn, man. I was so close to just closing this one out, and it's just not working. On our turn, we draw Caius, which is solid. It's a game shot at some point. We drop the Lad. We attack the absolute 0. And here he's in a pretty bad spot because he has to use Honest to kill the Lad. But then he has to like leave the Lad in play, and then we can just kind of do whatever. But instead he decides to T-set, and I was like, that's really interesting. So I don't really know what was going on with that. Anyway, yeah, he decides to T-set the Honest. And I think it really is just like a knowledge thing. If you've never been in this situation before, which is like a situation that you would be in if you've played 4 years and countless hours of Edison format, but you can normal summon Honest, and you can activate the effect that says you can return this card from the field to the hand. And this effect is not once per turn, so you can just activate it, Lad will negate, activate it again, Lad will negate, and then eventually Lad reaches a point where it has 400 defense, and it can no longer resolve, so then you've drained the Lad completely, and you can use your effects and your cards freely. As it stands, we're able to attack. He burns a Deep Prison, and that's a pretty crucial mistake, because at this point in the game, that Deep Prison is keeping you alive. You know, that's stopping the Caius or the Dark Dust or whatever lethal threat we're going for. It will prevent him from losing this turn, because we run into Honest, we take 100, he draws, or we draw, and at this point, it's best to just go for Treeborn a bunch, sack for Caius, chainlink 1 Caius, chainlink 2 Lad, because Lad will still chain to Caius regardless, and will banish his Honest and attack for game. And even if he has Mirror Force, it'll pop the Lad, and then Lad will revive Caius, and we'll still be able to attack for game. So yeah, that game worked out really well. I don't know if it would have changed too much if he knew that the Honest could drain the Lad, but he would have still had the Deep Prison. He would have still had some more resources to work with, so yeah, just something to keep in mind if you guys are playing Lightsworn or Hero Beat or whatever it is into a deck that plays Lad, like this one, for example. So yeah, this game we open up pretty strong. Opening up with Dupe Frog is actually pretty good against Hero Beat because they just have to go minus to play through it. But we are going second, and he does have his powerful Diva, so he does set 4, and that makes me kind of happy because I can really just chill out into an Android. It's just not that threatening. We draw Roghnach Break, which I'm pretty happy about, but we don't have any great discards, and we already have another card that wants to discard, so this hand is very discard heavy. I'm going to try to like facilitate the Frog Engine before I start using my discard cards. So he's going to attack over the Dupe Frog. It does suck to lose a Dupe Frog, but getting Treeborn here is just so powerful. It's worth it. He sets a new back row in the night. I decide to hit that one with Dust Tornado just because it's not chainable. And he reveals Mirrorvos, which is a really interesting card. I then use Dust Tornado's second effect to set the Roghnach Break directly from my hand, so that on my turn, if I draw a Treeborn, I can Roghnach Break, pitch the Treeborn. And even if I don't, the Roghnach Break will be active on my turn, which could be crucial for whatever reason. I draw into another Roghnach Break, and yeah, it didn't really work out, but I'm able to swap Sent Treeborn. Now I could 1-for-1 here, but I'm really scared of a couple different things. Obviously, another Mirrorvos. But there are other ones as well, like there's Mirrorvos, there's Royal Oppression, there's Skill Drain, there's Solemn Judgment. There's a lot of things that really punish me for pitching one of my power cards into this 1-for-1, so it's possible I should have sided out 1-for-1 in this matchup. But I think like 1-for-1 salvage stuff, just getting your frogs online is like, just getting your 2000 defenders is really good against this deck, so because it can buy you a lot of time. So bounce the swap, pass the turn. He attacks for 24. I Roghnach pitch the swap, and I've taken 0 damage. He has 4 back row, but they're not actively pressuring me. And this is something I think a lot of people who are like newer at the game have trouble with. If your opponent has a lot of back row, but they're not really attacking you, you should really take your time, especially if your deck has like a pretty strong late game. I think it's kind of hard to say, but like, I think it's like, yeah, I'd say like most of the time it's correct to do this, especially if your deck has like good breakers like Kaius or Diva or whatever. And most decks can play through back row pretty well if you have card advantage. So, because they only have 5 back row slots. However, here comes the big haymaker, which is Dyna. That being said, Dyna's not a ton of pressure. We are at 8,000. We can use our life total here as a resource. We don't really have to do anything about the Dyna. And the nice thing about the Dyna too is like, he can't Miracle Fusion me anymore. So like the one thing I'm scared of, he can't really do. So it's like, the Dyna's almost hurting him as much as it's helping him. Like, we don't get a Treeborn, sure, but like, I'm taking 1,200. Like, I can ignore that for like 3 turns and just build up my hand, which is really all you can ask for. I think something that would be interesting in this Diva deck is maybe a Trapstone. That's something I was considering after my matches, of course, but you'll see why I think that after the matches. I end up drawing a Substitoad, which is perfect. That means I don't need to waste my Roghnach break on this stupid card, so just set the Substitoad and pass. He summons the Alias. He attacks the Substitoad. He takes 100. And now he finally reveals he's on Hero Beat. Like, we literally didn't know until this point. But he's going to Gemini Spark the Substitoad. Pardon me. I'm surprised he's on Miravos in his deck at all. This card's kind of mid. It's, like, not a terrible sideboard card. It's good against Glads and, like, a little okay against Frogs. But you're usually not hitting a high-value card. And then, like, yeah, I don't know. It helps against Lone Fire, too. So it's, like, not the worst card. But it's just not amazing. He's able to spark the Substitoad, attack with the Dyna, and again, I can just take this at least 2-3 more times before it starts to become a problem. I draw on a Salvage, and I'm like, great, I'll just use that. Add back the Substitoad, add back the dupe. And now all that sort of legwork he did with the Diva, the Spark, everything, is just instantly undone. And he's just back down to where he started. He's got another Alias. He attacks the set. He takes 100, passes back. We draw Water Art. I'm going to set the Substitoad, set the Water Art, pass the turn. He draws a new back row, which I'm concerned is Torrential, but I don't know. It is what it is. Normal Unifrog, attack for 400. He's going to deprison me. Kind of sucks. This guy would be really crucial in this point, but it was forcing, so can't complain. Passes back. We draw Gilly. I'm going to summon Gilly. He's going to let it happen for whatever reason. And we are going to attack over the Dyna. This is a little ugly. It does unlock him to use another Diva of his or a Miracle Fusion of his, but it also does get the Dyna out of play, which means we can finally do something eventually. And now main phase 2, I can flip the Substitoad and activate with priority. Now he starts thinking, I'm like, ah, shit, that's a Torrential. So I could have just grabbed a Dewfrog here and passed, but I felt like that would have been not ideal. And I want to force the Torrential right now, because it's only going to get worse for me. So I'm going to use Swap Frog's Effect to send. He's going to chain link 2 Torrential, which will make my Dewfrog miss timing. I'm going to chain Water Art, sacrifice the Substitoad. He's going to chain DD Crow, hit my 1 Treeborn Frog. And then we'll be able to send another Treeborn Frog once this all resolves. So Water Art resolves first, then Torrential Tribute, then Substitoad's Effect to send. Oh no, sorry. Water Art resolves, DD Crow resolves first, then Water Art, then Torrential, then Swap Frog. So DD Crow is going to banish the Treeborn. Water Art's going to check the hand. We see it's Miracle, Royal Oppression. I feel comfortable playing through Royal Oppression, especially with a Kaius in hand and a Treeborn Engrave. Torrential's going to blow things up, and then the last thing in the chain is going to resolve. It's going to be Swap Rocks and Treeborn. So, pretty complicated moment, but when everything's all said and done, I have 5 insane cards with 2 Royal Oppression outs, and he has a Royal Oppression and 0 pressure, and I'm pretty happy about all things. He draws a Diva, but he sided out one of his Gilmans, so he only has Divas left to attack me for 400. Just negative pressure, really. We take 400. Don't really care about that. He passes back, confirming that one of his back row is Royal Oppression. I'm just going to go for Kaius into everything. I'm going to go ahead and Roghnach break. Once again, losing a 30%, losing a 60-30 basically, and hitting the Starlight Road, which is funny that it's happened twice in the same match, but I'm just ass, I guess. Anyway, Treeborn comes back, sack for Caius. Caius target another back row. We hit the Royal Oppression that we knew about. Now I can brain Diva. I can synchro here and make Thought Ruler Archfiend. Thought Ruler Archfiend can just run over the Diva. We can gain 200. This plays through Spark, D-Prison. We haven't seen a Bottomless yet, and we haven't seen Mirror Force yet, but we have seen Torrential. So I think going Thought Rulers is fine because it plays through Spark. That was the more annoying card that I was worried about. And gaining life is always nice, so I gain a little life, and then pass. He draws Ocean, passes back to us. Treeborn comes out, and at this moment, he could Super Poly us. The Ocean and the Treeborn make a 0. We'd then run over the 0 with Thought Ruler Archfiend, trade 1 for 1, gain 2,500. Probably still be chilling. I also still do have that Mermaid Archer in my deck, so the Diva can just make a Catastor, and then I'm chilling once again. Main phase 1, sack for Caius. He just lets this happen, so yeah, I think it was cooked no matter what, because like I said, we'll navigate that to where we end up with Catastor in play this turn, and we gain 2,500 life, but this is just crushing, because I'm able to hit for 27, set the deck dev to play around D-Prison, not attack with the Caius yet. Not sure if I should have sided in deck dev against him, but he has 3 Divas, Crows, Dynas, and Gilman, and Honest as well, so as well as Ocean, so he had at least 10 targets, and I was thinking, man, it'd be pretty nasty to hit like a Crow and an Honest with a deck dev. Like, that'd be pretty fucking good. So, yeah, pass the turn back. He draws a Spark. I just normal the Diva. He shows me the Super Poly, and he's like, I should have used it and not let you get to main phase. But I think at that point in the game, we were pretty much dominating anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So that was a close match. We ended up taking things back after we lost, I believe. Game 1 we lost? I don't really remember. I think we did lose game 1, didn't we? Yeah, I think we lost game 1. Yeah. So after game 1, I kind of locked in, and I was like, okay, this is what we need to beat this deck, and it worked out really well. We were able to find like some pretty strong cards. The Caiuses, the Brain Control obviously went really well. And there's another airplane, so this is it's difficult, boys. It's difficult. It's difficult to get the videos out while we're traveling, but it is what it is. We're doing stuff. The nice thing here is we're not playing the heroes, so he can't actually Super Poly away our own heroes alongside our own frogs and get the massive Super Poly. He always has to eat one of his own guys as well. So the fact that we weren't playing the heroes actually was a benefit in this match, I'd say, overall. And the Divas were really, really good. I'm consistently impressed with this card. I still think, like, reflecting back on how things were in 2021, where we were rating this card significantly highly, like we were like, oh, this card's crazy. I think we still underrate this card somehow. I think we've like, it's weird because like in 2021 we were like in this very niche developed group. There was like 50 of us playing Edison format like pretty regularly, and all of us were like, we're like, damn, Deep Sea Diva is a crazy card, and that was like kind of the consensus. Then Edison blew up like crazy, and for some reason, like that mentality of like Deep Sea Diva, I think we even did like tier lists where it was like top 10 cards that we underrated in 2010 versus now, and Diva was like consistently number 1 in that list. Like it was a card that we like consistently underrated, and for some reason it's just like it's so underplayed now. I feel like you could throw 3 Divas and a Gilman into anything. Like it's kind of this format's tour guide of the underworld, and the fact that it works with like some crazy cards like Salvage, Water Art, like it works with deck dev, like that has to be insane, right? I can't be the only one who thinks that. It's 3 bodies for Avarice, so like Avarice with Diva is like totally something that's pretty underexplored. And I know that there was a deck that barely missed out on Top Cut in Berlin that was like Black Wings with Deep Sea Diva and Gilman, and that's like something that I think we could see in the future. Like it's kind of a scary threat because it's like it's Black Wings, but you have this double tuner that works well with enemy controller, and it works well with deck dev. Like a lot of these cards that you already want to be playing in Black Wings. Whereas like, yeah, I don't know. I just think that that's really cool, and I think there's potential for like more decks to use Deep Sea Diva. There's a Volcanic deck that I've tried here on the channel that I always like thought has potential, or like just decks that want a 1 card Catastor that's just really strong. Like maybe a machine deck. Anyway, let's move into the next replay. GG's to No Rage. Next time he'll get me, I'm sure of it. But I think this one, a few tiny errors. I think that honest error maybe cost him a little bit of percentage, and then the super poly error maybe cost him a little bit of percentage. I don't think by much though. I think we were pretty far ahead in all these games, and I'm liking the build a lot. I think Roghnach really nailed some of the numbers here. Yeah, I especially really like the Diva stuff. I'm very happy with the proactive nature of this card. All right, moving into the next match. This one's a marathon, so strap yourselves in. We're playing against the Dark Hero Frogs. So 0 but 2. So player from the Discord. If you guys want to play against me in these videos, join the Discord in the description below. We like tag each other. We always get testing in. We always give each other feedback after the matches. It's a good time. Yeah, come hang out. Come duel. Anyway, we lose die roll again. And then he starts off with Swap Frog, Send Treeborn. And I'm like, man, I've watched a million frog mirrors, and like for some reason, like I just check out like every time I watch a frog mirror. And I never play frogs, like specifically because I never really want to play frog mirrors. I find them to be like, they're really skill intensive. Don't get me wrong. It's like one of the most fun mirrors to actually play in the format, but it can be difficult to stomach without like really active commentary. So I'm going to try my best to like explain to you guys exactly what's happening here. Swap Frog sent Treeborn. This is like establish the position. We're both going to establish our advantage engine, but he has all the initiative because he went first. So we start off with Swap Frog sent Treeborn, pass the turn back after attacking for 1,000. So we have a really good hand here. The hand is really good. It's like we have Caius for damage, we have enemy controller for damage, we have brain control for damage. So we have our game shots set up now that he's at 7,000. A lot of times this matchup is like 2,400 3 times. And that's 7,200. And then you put them below brain range or you put them into Caius range. But we have the 7,200. We have the 3 pieces to KO him. So what I should be doing here, and this is like my inexperience in the mirror match, my game plan here is to initiate his Caius. So I want him to actually Caius first. And the best way for me to do that without burning one of these 3 is using my Substitoad. Keep an eye on the Substitoad as this game 1 plays out. So I bounce a swap, pass the turn, he draws for turn, he brings out Treeborn, he pitches special swap. That's pretty good for me because now he's just down a card for no reason, right? So he pitches special swap, normals his own Substitoad, but he gave me a +1 there. He gave me a +1 that he like really didn't need to give me. He then sacks the Treeborn, grabs dupe, sacks the Substitoad, grabs another dupe, and then bounces the swap, doesn't even attack into a potential Gores. So he gives me a lot to work with here, and I'm like, man, the dupe frogs seem kind of horrible here. I can just take one, sack it for Caius, banish the other one, and then I'm chilling, right? Well, what I really should have done here is I should have figured out a way to not use one of my steel spells, because although I do still have 2 more steel spells in my deck, chances of me drawing them are pretty low unless I deck thin out my whole deck with the Substitoad. He sets a new back row. I pick up a second Caius, so I now have 4 pieces of damage if I'm able to leverage them properly. I decide to enemy controller the dupe frog, and then sack the dupe frog for the Caius and banish his dupe frog. This is a pretty bad play. I think I didn't want him to like put me in a situation where I had to make 2 plays in my turn, like where I had to outbolt the dupe frog and then attack a guy, you know what I mean? But I could have made this play at any point because they're steel cards, right? Like I can just take his guy that he commits and ignore the dupe block even further. What I should have done was summon the Substitoad, prompt his Caius, thin my whole deck out, and then get myself to drawing these Deep Sea Divas or these whatever, Light and Darkness Dragon or Dark Dust Spirit or whatever. I have so many great cards in my deck that I should have just taken this as an opportunity where my opponent has done something very passive for me to thin out my deck and then set up something where he's forced to Caius before me. Because now I'm actually pretty low on resources. I decided to priority bounce the Caius with my Swap Frog just to like preserve the 3 pieces of 2,400. But yeah, I ended up being kind of a silly play. I think he could have popped the Caius if that's a Roghnach break. It ends up being a Roghnach break. He could have popped the Caius before I did this, and because he didn't do that, I was like kind of surprised, and I was like, okay, maybe it's not a Roghnach break. Like, but then what would he said? Maybe it's Mirror Force. And so then I decided to bounce my Caius main phase 1 with priority because I thought it was maybe, like, on resolution of the Caius banishing his Dewfrog, that's where you'd want to, Rogeki break Caius, because then I have pitch special swap, and he knows about the swap. So then I'm like, man, somehow I've resolved Caius, I've resolved enemy controller, I've resolved Treeborn Frog. Like, I've done everything my deck is supposed to do, but I'm down cards, and my opponent actually has gone -1. And I'm like, how am I down a card here? Like, what happened? And then I realized I pitched my own Unifrog to special my own Swap Frog. So I also put myself down a card, and I'm leaving the Swap Frog in play. And my position here is just like, it's so much worse than his. Like, I have the threats, but I haven't utilized my Substitute. I didn't take that turn to do that. And so as the game progresses, he's going to have such an easy time, like, navigating, like, basically everything. And then he hits me with the Stratos, and his engines are both online, and I'm just like, bruh, I have somehow misplayed this game so badly. And it's like, I really wish I had the foresight to know that I should have used the Substitute there, but for some reason I'm thinking, like, Substitute is bad in this matchup, which it is, but generally you should lead with your bad cards, and then you should also just get the deck thinning while it's good, because then you risk drawing into more frogs like we did with the Unifrog, basically. Anyway, he attacks over the swap. We draw into Rogeki Break, and yeah, it's just not a great draw, because we're forced to pitch, like, a card that I actually want to use. Bring out the Treeborn, and I'm like, man, I guess, like, I'll run into Mirror Force, I'll Caius his Stratos, and then he at least has to commit the Evil Guy, Infernal Guy, in order to, like, get things popping. But yeah, let's just clear the Mirror Force now. And then he confirms his Rogeki Break, and he pitches a Mally, and I'm like, just surprised, you know? I end up setting the Rogeki Break here too, which is, like, just another mistake. Like, I'm at 7,200. I'm in no, like, risk of dying here. He needs quite a bit to kill me, but I don't want to discard anything in my hand, so I'm setting myself up to need to discard something in my hand. Not a great play on my part, just really bad. I've kind of conceded this game in my mind. I'm already thinking about the next few games. He has Junk Synchron, so just another plus on his part. I'm forced to Rogeki Break this Junk Synchron, or else he can kind of, like, take over. He's gonna set a new back row pass. I draw into Dewfrog, so again, cards I would have thinned out of the deck. Sack for Caius. Caius target the Treeborn, and he has the 1-of Tarantula, and I'm just like, all right, I deserve to lose this. Like, this is just a mess. This is a messy game. Like, completely lost here. Like, I have just completely lost, and I'm dead on board here. He goes in Dark End plus the Miracle Fusion for game, and yeah, we're dead. So he does reveal to us the Dark Grepher, which is nice. It helps me adjust my sideboarding pattern, and then I'm able to sort of, like, take a second to, like, think to myself, I'm like, how did I lose that game? I had all the tools to win that game. I just decided to lose that game, and that's literally what happened. I, like, chose to not use my Substitute, chose to not, like, thin my deck out, and, like, just force him to Caius into my brain controls. And that was really what I had to do, was use the Dewfrog as a forcing action early on. And even though it's bad, you can still, like, force them to commit to the board with it. So yeah, that's probably what I should have done, because I'm not fully recognizing exactly what it's accomplishing, but I am recognizing that it's not good. And so in between the matches, in between game 1 and game 2, I recognize that Dewfrog is not good, because at no point in that game was I, like, excited about going for the Substitute. So I actually side out the Dewfrogs going into the next game entirely. And I think I sided out the flip-flop as well. I may have left it in, but yeah, I sided out the Dewfrogs for sure. I sack Substitute for swap, send the Treeborn, set the Water Art, get the hand rip. And I see my opponent's hand, and it's surprisingly pretty bad. He has the Lightning Vortex, Dark Grepher, Space Typhoon, Foolish Burial, and Rogeki Break. Rogeki Break and Lightning Vortex in this hand, and Dark Grepher in this hand, all cost a discard. He has no good discards. So it's like -1, -1, -1. Then Foolish Burial, it sends a Treeborn, but that's a -1 because he has no conversion for the Treeborn. So he has 4 -1s and a Space Typhoon, which I can play around the entire game. Looking at this hand, you may think, oh, this hand is scary, this hand is, like, good, this hand's solid. This hand is 0 cards. As far as I'm concerned, this hand is 0 cards. And I'm like, I win this game. This is a guaranteed win. I could beat him with a Swap Frog this game. Like, and it's funny too, because, like, I recognize this. You can see Roghnach watching, and I'm like, if I type this in chat, Roghnach knows this game is over too. So I typed it in the chat just so Roghnach knows. He goes Foolish Burial, send the Treeborn. Exactly how we imagined. So now he's, you know, down to 4. Passes a turn back. We draw into Mermaid Archer. This card is crazy into destruction effects. So yeah, gonna bring out the Treeborn. Go ahead and salvage back the sub and the swap. Here I make kind of an interesting play. I'm basically trying to force him to Vortex, right? So I go Substitute, sack all my guys, grab the Swap Frogs. I have 2 Swap Frogs here. Attack for 2,000. And I just pass. I could have bounced one of them, but then he just runs it over with Grepher, and then it's not in play. I think having a Swap Frog in play is good, because next turn I can bring out the Treeborn, and then I have, like, options, right? I can, like, sack for Caius, maybe banish something if he doesn't commit the back row. Like, let's say he just goes Grepher, attack over 1, he doesn't commit the back row. Then we can Caius his Grepher, and then we can bounce the Caius with the swap. So I think leaving them both in play is good. And then there's a chance he, like, Vortexes 2 Swap Frogs, or 1 Swap Frog, and that would just be great for us. Like, any sort of forced commitment here, which is exactly what I should have used Substitute to do in the last game, and I recognize that, and that's why I'm using it to do that this game. Any sort of forced commitment here is, like, gonna make things very difficult for him, because, yeah, looks like he found the Elemental Hero Ocean, and he decides to bring back the Treeborn Frog. I'm not really high on him bringing back Treeborn Frog here. There's really no reason to do this. He might be trying to, like, wall up against Swap Frog beats, but that's his... He wasted a whole card putting that in the grave, and if I Caius that, that's, like, pretty bad for him. It's, like, a significant part of his engine is completely locked down now. He attacks over the Swap Frog. Another airplane goes overhead. Oh, my gosh. They just keep coming, bro. They just keep coming. All right, we draw another salvage, so yeah, we've picked up a lot of resources these last few turns, and we bring back Treeborn, sack for Caius, target the Treeborn, run over the ocean, attack with Swap Frog. We could have banished the ocean too, but I don't know. I could have banished the ocean and just kill Miracle Fusion. It's not a bad play. I think in hindsight it's probably a better play. It's also more damage because we run over the Treeborn and then attack for 24. But I didn't want him to then leave the Treeborn engraved and then have Treeborn for the rest of the game, because Treeborn is something guaranteed that's going to slow me down, whereas like him drawing Miracle isn't even guaranteed. Like, he's 3 in 34, so it's like a 1 in 11 chance he even draws one next turn. So it's like, do I play around him potentially drawing Miracle versus him guaranteedly having this annoying blocker the whole game? Anyway, swap bounce the Caius, pass the turn. I could have, I don't know, maybe just set deck dev there and like bounce the swap and then kept that resource, but I knew his hand had no deck dev targets, and it's like he could very easily force the deck dev by like typhooning it, and then I'd have nothing to deal with the Grepher, which is annoying, and I just didn't want to give him initiative really. So here he sets the dupe, sets 2 back row, passes back. We bring out the Treeborn. I'm able to salvage, grab the Unifrog, and grab the Swap Frog. This is something I talked to Roghnach about after the game. I was like, do you leave Unifrog in against Hero Frogs? Because like they're going to have a lot of back row, and this guy just forces them. And you can extra normal this guy. So like it's a play where you can make a double play. Like if you see here, I bounce the Treeborn, extra normal the Uni, and I can still Caius this turn. So that's like pretty strong, right? Like it gives you a double play turn if you leave the Unifrog in. So I swing with the Unifrog, and he actually lets it connect, and we are able to take down the Typhoon. So once again, like literally none of his cards have done anything this game. It's like I'm playing against an opponent with 0 cards. It's just a matter of closing it out. I attack into a set because I want to get it face up for potentially brain control. We take 1,000. I pitch special swap. Swap bounce the Uni. Set the deck dev. Pass the turn back. I now know he has to Lightning Vortex me or like try and do something here. We can always like Soul Exchange brain control if he goes like Caius, for example. And then we can like sack his Caius to our own deck dev, which is funny. What I was hoping he would do is like summon Grepher and then run over the Swap Frog, and then on our turn, we sack Swap Frog for Caius, target the Grepher, he chains Rogeki Break on the Caius, or he Rogeki Breaks the Caius, pitching his last card, and then we chain deck dev, popping the Dupe Frog, and he gets nothing back, and then he just has 0 cards, and then we're able to navigate to a pretty easy win with the Mermaid Archer beats. But yeah, he just concedes because he sees the writing on the wall. Like, he's never beating that setup with the cards he has, and we go into the next game. So this is where things get hard. This is where things get really, really hard. We start off with no monsters. And I was talking to Roghnach in between the games, and I was like, I left in Unifrog, and it kind of did some work. And he was like, You should still probably side it out, though. And so I was like, is he right? I don't know. And so I sided it out. But I don't know if he's right. I actually don't know. I think you maybe want to leave in Unifrog in specifically this matchup. Anyway, he starts off with Future Fusion, revealing Absolute Zero. And this is interesting. This is like my path to victory, basically, right? He's got the Future Fusion. He can send two monsters. Obviously, he's going to send Treeborn Mally, right? He's going to have great resources. He's going to get a 0 in 2 turns. That's insane, right? Like, that's so good. How are we ever going to beat that? These fucking airplanes, man. Sorry, I had to mute it. The airplane was getting crazy with it. But anyway. If I can banish his Absolute Zero with Karma Cut, if I can get that set up, then the Future Fusion will stay in play. And if he never removes his own Future Fusion, it's like I've killed 2 Treeborns and an Absolute Zero with a Karma Cut. That is a potential path to victory. It's not great because we have nothing else in our hand that actually does anything, but maybe we can make it work. He sets a back row and passes. We draw Brain Control. Oh my gosh, this hand is bad, right? Opponent's going first. They have Future Fusion. They have Treeborn and Mally and Grave. How the hell do we win this game? I go ahead and set my Tusk Shoot. And then he has sided in Dust Tornadoes. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? He sided Dust Tornadoes in against Frogs. I've never seen that in my life. I literally have never seen that in my life. That can't be good. That can't be correct. But it works out really well for him. He's able to rip our Dust Shoot, and now the hand that we have actually does very little. But yeah, he's able to draw a card, and he's gonna Foolish, send Plague. So pretty stacked here. He could set up a Stardust Dragon. He could set up a Colossal Fighter and start attacking us. He could start off with Substitute. So he has just everything. He has all gasoline. He gets the Swap Frog. He sends a Treeborn. He attacks for 1,000. And we're under pressure. I mean, this is bad. Bounces a swap, sets a new back row, and passes. We draw into Karma Cut. I'm forced to double set Karma Cut and pass. Because I need to be able to hit his Stardust if he goes for it. And then I also need to be able to hit his Absolute Zero that comes out. So, Absolute Zero comes out here. We are 7 cards into our deck. We haven't drawn a monster. This sucks, right? Absolute Zero hits play. He just passes, doesn't attack. And thankfully, he passes and doesn't attack because I had nothing I wanted to discard. I wanted every single card in my hand. Here I'm able to go Substitute, activate, bring out the swap send Treeborn, bounce the Swap Frog, and now I have a great discard in Swap Frog. I'm just going to pass the turn. He normal summons Elemental Hero Ocean. So now 0 goes up to 3,000. I say big think here because I want to bluff Torrential. And then I check his Grave to verify that he knows that I know he can make Stardust Dragon. Because I don't want him to try and make a Stardust Dragon right here. I will lose to that. I will lose to that level of pressure at this point. But he knows that I could potentially Torrential here. So I say think, and then I give him a thumbs up. He attacks for 15, we take 15, and then he doesn't attack with the 0. Still playing around like Deep Prisons or Mirror Force or whatever. Again, I don't know why people think that I would side in Deep Prisons against Frogs. Deep Prison's not a very good card against Frogs. It's good at picking off specifically Unifrog, but like outside of that, it's just not a very good card in the matchup. So you wouldn't side them in. And then I also wouldn't be maining Deep Prisons because I don't know. I just think like if your deck is Frogs, like there's really no reason to be playing Deep Prison, but it is what it is. Anyway, we draw into a Caius. We can now Karma Cut, pitching the Swap Frog, targeting the Absolute Zero, banishing the Absolute Zero. I can then salvage, bringing back the Substitute and another airplane overhead, Kappa. I can Soul Exchange the Ocean, and here comes his crucial moment, right? He can interact with the Soul Exchange. He can deny us the Substitute activations, right? If he uses his back row to remove this Ocean. I'm getting kind of worried it's compulsory, right? Because if it's compulsory, then he just bounces the Ocean. He still has his Ocean. That's pretty good. He draws up to 6 cards. That's pretty good. But But if he's thinking about Roghnach breaking his own Ocean, maybe there's a chance I can actually win this game, which is crazy because my hand sucked. It was like not a good hand. But that one Substitute draw and this really big misplay from the opponent, activating Roghnach break, pitching Swap Frog, targeting his own Ocean, and just clearing his own board for us. 3-for-1 Soul Exchange. I couldn't have asked for a better circumstance. Swap Frog's going to send Substitute, bounce a Swap Frog. And now here's an interesting moment. We're at 55. It's not terribly low, but it's low enough to where like Colossal plus like Heavy Storm, Colossal, Miracle will kill us, I think. Yeah, because he has the Prodigy. Or I don't remember if he has the Prodigy or not. But he could potentially have a 2-card combination that kills us here. So I feel the need to set the Threatening Roar, even though it feels kind of bad to continuously lock this Treeborn Frog out of the game. That being said, this Future Fusion being there, huge for me. Can't use his Treeborns. So if he wants to do anything with like a Caius or this, he's going to have to stack for Plague. Or he's going to have to use his Mally resource. And that's almost like 2 threats are now gone. Caius gets activated, targets the back row. I'm just going to chain it because they're both chainable. Karma Cut's going to hit the Caius, banishes the Caius. And I feel like he's doing this to set up return, because then he burns his Mally immediately after. And I don't know what happened this game, but ever since he Roghnach braked his own monster, I don't really know what happened. I feel like he could have had a lot better chances this game had he like navigated this a little bit differently. Even Roghnach breaking his own Future Fusion would have been better than Roghnach breaking the Ocean. So I think like if you're gonna Roghnach break your own card, you consider unlocking your Treeborns, especially because you have Caius, right? Like that's the only thing. Still at this point though, the reason he went for this play, I'm assuming the only rational reason he went for this play is Return from the Different Dimension, which this deck does play. So I'm thinking to myself, I have to end every single turn with a way to interact with Return from the Different Dimension. Otherwise, I instantly lose to that. So you'll see for the rest of the game, I have to navigate a position to where I can basically stop Return from happening to me in a bad spot. Like, it'll still happen in some of the cases, but it'll happen on my turn, which is, like, obviously not nearly as bad. He attacks for 800, and then he just passes the turn back. I have Substitute into Swap to run over the Malicious, and then I'll attack over the Malicious. So you'll see here, my out to return is going to be that Threatening Roar. So we have a way to stop return, and he doesn't even have it set, so it doesn't even matter right now. But that's like kind of our out right now. Swap Frog gets bounced. We maintain the Caius in hand. We could have done a few different things, but I think like we could have like brained the Mally and like sacked it. So it's done a bunch of other stuff, but I think keeping these is a little bit higher value. He draws return, normal swap, tax for 1,000. We have to take the 1,000. Our life total is actually getting pretty low. Bounces, swap, and pass, so still doesn't commit the return. And now I find Water Art, which is great, because that means if he does have return, we can take it immediately. I'm going to go ahead and set the Treeborn, set the Water Art, activate the Water Art, look at the hand, and you'll notice that he's going to have Dad, and then he's going to have the full Substitute Swap Frog Entourage. So Water Art, insane card. And I can totally see why Roghnach decided to main this even over Dust Shoot in his list from RBET Berlin. We're going to go ahead and take out that Dark Arm Dragon permanently. He's never going to get a chance to draw that again. It's going to get sent to the graveyard. And I see the rest of his hand. I'm like, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. He goes normal Substitute, activate, grab dupe, sack the Substitute, grab another dupe, pass the turn. We draw DD Crow. I sided in all 3 DD Crows. I'm not really sure if that's right, but I figured at least against like the Plague Mally stuff, it's solid. We're going to go ahead and brain a dupe. Sack for Caius. Caius target the other one. Attack for 24. And things are bad here if he specifically draws Miracle. But otherwise we might be okay. He draws return. He finds Vanities. He's forced to set the Swap Frog, so he just doesn't instantly die. We normal swap, activate. I didn't see that he didn't shuffle his hand, so I like forgot. I thought that there's a chance that this is like maybe another Substitute, but I should have checked his grave because all 3 subs are gone. So like this is 100% the Swap Frog, and I just missed damage here, which is pretty bad. But I do find Roghnach Break, which will be able to take out a return on the end phase. So Yeah, this is a big misplay. Caius attack, and then swap attack, and then swap bounce Caius, or swap bounce swap, because I want to leave the Caius in play to force action, I guess. Not have to sack for Caius in the face of a top deck miracle like this. He goes for the top deck miracle. In hindsight, I maybe should have bounced the Caius, but I think Swap Frog's a little better here because I can just like summon it, poke, summon it, poke, summon it, poke. Can't really do that with Caius here. Caius is going to end up being traded down with the Absolute Zero, but he decides not to attack with it. And I'm just like, I'm so confused. I don't understand why he doesn't attack with it. I normal the swap, and then I priority bounce the Caius. I'm like, wait, that totally defeats the purpose of what I was thinking, which is like swap, poke, swap, poke, swap, poke. So this was a bit of a mistake on my part. I think I asked Roghnach about it after the game, and he confirmed that I probably should have just bounced the Swap Frog, like, if anything. But yeah, he ends up finding Caius off the top, so he's able to sack his Absolute Zero Caius, force one of the back row, and it is Threatening Roar. So we'll chain Threatening Roar. And one thing that was interesting is he does have this Vanity's Fiend. He could have just sacked for Vanity's Fiend to, like, maybe force the back row, or he could have Caiused his own Future Fusion to unlock his Treeborn Frog. Again, this never happened, but this is things that he should have maybe been thinking about, because that Treeborn Frog is like, how many turns have gone by that he hasn't been able to use his Treeborn? Like, quite a few. We do have Double Crow to take out both Treeborns, but we would be forced to do that at this point. So, yeah. Anyway, he Absolute Zero pops our Swap Frog, and then takes out the, I forgot what it was. Anyway, here I'm just gonna Rogeki Break, Pitch Crow, target Caius, bring back the Treeborn, set the Water Art. I feel confident yet again into return because I have the Water Art to rip it. I'm going to go for Water Art, sacking the Treeborn, take the Vanities, because I'm actually super comfortable with him going E-Call for Stratos, summon Stratos, because then we can sack for Caius, pick off the Stratos, and then attack. He's going to E-Call for Stratos, but then he's just going to pass. I think he should have maybe summoned the Stratos to at least force us to Caius it, so that he could maybe top deck return next turn, but it's so bad for him right now, because even if he top decks return, I'll be able to Caius it. And if he doesn't top deck return, then, like, how is he ever winning this game? Because he never unlocked that Future Fusion that stayed locked all the way from turn 1. Anyway, I bring back Treeborn, I normal summon Deep Sea Diva, I bring out the Mermaid Archer, I synchrone to Catastor, and attack. The reason we went Catastor over Goyo is because if I go Goyo with all 3 of my pieces, then he can top deck Brain Control and kill me. And then also, if I go Catastor, it still deals with Miracle Fusion, whereas Goyo would have dealt with Miracle Fusion, but like not about the same, I guess. It would have dealt damage, which is nice, but yeah, this is better into Brain Control specifically. So he draws Rogeki Break, passes back to us, swing for game, try to force it. He has it. He has Rogeki Break. Main phase 2, tribute, set the Dark Dust Spirit. Pass the turn, he draws Miracle. He miracles here. He attacks in the Dark Dust. Dark Dust will blow up to Absolute Zero, and then on our turn, we'll sack for Caius, target the Future Fusion that was there, and locking him out the entire game, and win the game. So, man, crazy match. Crazy match. Like, I for sure should have lost this game, I think. I for sure should have lost it. I was so bricked for so long. My dust shoe got ripped. He, like, did some really weird plays in the mid game. Like, the Plague sack for Caius didn't make any fucking sense. The way he, like, used his Malicious for 800 damage didn't make any fucking sense. I don't know. It was, like, it was weird. It was a weird game. But I feel like I should have lost. I feel like I should have lost. And it makes me think, like, that was hard. That didn't feel easy. And on top of it not feeling easy, I didn't feel like I was ever favored. Like, I felt like I was banking on my opponent messing up. So I wonder if there's a way to go back to the drawing board with this style of deck and, like, make it a little more consistent. Because I felt like those opening hands with, like, the Salvage and the Soul Exchange specifically, and, like, all the weird cards that, like, needed a water monster to make things happen. It was hard. I feel like this deck has maybe too many cards that are dependent on your engine. Like 3 Salvage, 3 Enemy Controller, double Water Art, triple Discard Trap is like, and plus the Soul Exchange. It's like you have 12 cards that are dependent on your engine. Threatening Roar to an extent, also very dependent on your engine. Maybe you want a little bit less of those. I know it's crazy. It sounds crazy. I still think that you max the enemy controller, right? It's the best. I still think that you max water art or play 2 water art. And you probably still max salvage, especially with the Diva, right? But the discard traps are what felt really bad. I did not like those. I was wondering if like there's a world where you can play like straight up torrential solemn and like dust shoot in this spot. And that might be better. Um yeah, I was thinking maybe something like that. Cuz like solemn judgment felt like it would be really good in this deck. Cuz you can actually like use it early and then gain that life points back with Android or Thought Ruler pretty easily. So that was something that was like on my mind. Is like maybe you cut the discard cards because like discarding stuff in this deck doesn't feel amazing. It doesn't feel bad, but it doesn't feel like it isn't like super ideal. We don't have like malicious, right? We don't have like totem dragon or like I don't fucking know. We just have 2 treeborns, which obviously you can figure out ways to get +1s, and your engine auto +1s if you do have the engine. Like these cards are great if you have engine, but I think reducing relying on your engine might be the way to approach a Diva deck. Who knows? Food for thought. I think the deck is great. Obviously, Roghnach put a lot of time into it. Um, yeah, really impressed with Dark Dust Spirit. I actually like in both of my matches, I wanted another one. I actually think 3 Dark Dust Spirit is very interesting. I understand the fear of using this card right now. Being a spirit monster is a huge liability. Like, if your opponent has Legacy of Yatagrashu, they just get a pot of greed you if you play this card. So, yeah, that's scary. But being able to tribute set it is nice, and like, if your opponent runs into it, just nukes their board. And if they run over it, then you don't have to worry about the legacy. So, yeah, because they can't legacy in the damage step. Really interesting deck. A lot to think about. Very complex. A lot of lines, and I love Deep Sea Diva. So getting to play with this card is sweet. Shout out to Roghnach. Check him out. And it's been about an hour, so yeah, we'll get you guys another video tomorrow. I'm pumping out daily uploads. Don't forget, subscribe, and RBET Genesis, sign up for that. We have more RBETs being announced soon in different regions. Stay tuned for those, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's vid. Peace.